Hey, how's it going? Today we're going to play some games with Dragapult Pidgeot. This deck did manage to take down the seniors division at NAIC, so I figured I'd give it a try. Now the idea of this deck is to go second since it is a Arven engine and get down all of our Pokemon, draw some cards with Cleffa or Rotom, and hopefully get an attack off turn 2. I haven't had that happen very much, but it is very nice if you can attack turn 2. I don't know if it's completely necessary though. Now Dragapult is a stage 2 that has the attack Phantom Dive for Psychic Fire, does 200. We can spread 6 damage counters to our opponent's bench in any way we like, which is very nice, effective attack. It evolves from the Drakloak. The Drakloak has very nice ability that says once during our turn we can look at the top 2 cards of our deck, put one in our hand, the other on the bottom of the deck. The other attacker is Radiant Charizard that does 250, and it costs a colorless less for each prize card our opponent has taken. So at the end of the game, this is going to be 1 fire energy. The ace spec in this deck is Neo Upper Energy that says if it's attached to a stage 2, it is a double rainbow energy, so we get 2 of every type of energy, and that's how we're going to attack if we miss the turn 1 attachment. Our other form of energy acceleration is Mela, that if one of our Pokemon was knocked out last turn, we can attach a fire from our discard to one of our Pokemon, draw up to 6 cards. So what I've been doing is if I have a choice, I'll attach the fire energy on my first turn, so that if that Pokemon is knocked out, I have a chance to Mela the energy back. We're using the Pidgeot Bibarel engine. Pidgeot lets us search our deck for any card once per turn, and Bibarel draws up to 5. It's very nice. We also have Kiernan that says choose 1, and it's a switch effect, or we can do 30 more damage to our opponent's active EX and V Pokemon. We have Temple of Sinnoh for the Lugia matchup. We have Cyllene to recover cards like Temple and Neo Upper Energy, or really whatever we need. And that's the deck, so let's get into the games. Alright, so this first game we're up against Sablezard. My opponent went first because I won the coin flip and chose second, and they used 1 flower selecting. They started Cram though and had to retreat. That part of the clip got cut off, but I Iono here into a Buddy Poffin. So now I can get down a second Dreepy and a Bidoof and draw some cards with Cleffa. This is kind of the ideal start that you want. I get a fire energy attachment and all the guys down, and also draw some cards. So we have an Ultra Ball for next turn, which is pretty nice. We drew into the Neo Energy naturally, which is also very nice, because normally you're hoping to Pidgeot into it, or use Pidgeot to get it, and be able to just set up the guys just by the luck of the draw, I guess. My opponent knocks out my Cleffa here. Now, I could promote Pidgey and just hope that I get a Pidgeot so I have a free retreater, but I promote Dreepy. I figured if I drew a Psychic off the top, then I would want to evolve this one anyway maybe, or I could just retreat into the one with the Neo Upper Energy. So I'm debating what to Ultra Ball away here. For some reason, I was still thinking my opponent might play Greninja and something with fire energies, but that is extremely unlikely. So I just get rid of the Manaphy, attach the Neo Evolve to Drakloak, and Iono. I could have also got Bibarel there and Ultra Balled away the fire instead of the Poffin and played my hand down as much as possible, but I figured that I wasn't drawing enough with Bibarel to make it worthwhile. Even though I think I would have got the attack, it looks like, so I would have drew Arven. And I use my Bibarel and do not get into anything to be able to get out the turn 2 Dragapult. And now I'm just kind of forced to candy into my Pidgeot after I whiff this Pokestop. So yeah, it's not really the best. I do have another Drakloak to evolve into, which is kind of nice. I'm not even too sure what I would get off of this Pidgeot. Maybe a supporter for next turn, or another energy, or just a Dragapult for next turn possibly. I used the Drakloak first to see what I got off of it, because if I got a Dragapult, I would Pidgeot for maybe counter catcher or something like that. Not really too sure. But I just grabbed the Dragapult and pass. I was thinking about retreating my Drakloak, but if I retreated and they knocked out my one with the Neo energy, I would not be able to attack next turn. So I'm basically forced to just leave this one in the active to have an option to attack next turn. If the worst happens, that is. My opponent is just doing Lost Zone things. I think they're going for a Sableye this turn. All they need now is a switch and a vacuum and a way to get the Sableye. They're kind of debating on that Comfy. They get rid of a switch, so they must have one in hand. And it looks like they are going to get to the turn, 3 Sableye? Which is pretty good. Sableye attacks are still really strong. If Lost Box is super popular again, maybe decks like this will have to start playing Jirachi again. That'd probably be in the best interest, because I could have popped in for the Jirachi if it was in the deck and completely avoided this. But they are going to knock out my one with the Neo Energy and just leave my active guy alone, so I'm glad I did not retreat into like a Dreepy or something, because I basically would have lost the game. So I'm going to use the Recon Directive first before I evolve it, because that's just sequencing, I guess. Now I'm going to quick search. Don't know what I'll really get here. I was thinking about getting Mela, but I don't have a fire in the discard, so I just get a Dragapult to Candy into. The reason I was thinking about getting Mela was so that I could set up a second Dragapult on the bench, and that would have been pretty nice. So I can't really do much that turn. I don't play the Arven because there's nothing I want right now. I'm kind of hoping that they have no way to knock me out. I've seen no signs of dark energy or anything like that. And I put all 6 on one Comfy because I could have split it up like across all the Comfies, but I figured this way, even if they switch card it, they're not going to be able to double switch card it. And this guarantees that I can knock out this Comfy and hopefully also set up both those Comfies on the bench to be knocked out. I do believe they are pretty low on switch card. They maybe have 2 left at the most. So they might be able to switch card the damage off this one, but not the next one, and they do. Was hoping to see them go into cram there, because at this point I'm still a little nervous. If they can find a way to knock out my Dragapult, I basically just lose. And they bench the Sableye though, so that's kind of a relief, and just retreat to cram and attack. I do really want this deck to be good. Obviously it's good at 1 seniors, but sometimes playing it, it just feels like so clunky. Like you're living on the edge the whole time. But I just grab a counter catcher and a psychic energy for next turn, because I don't know what else I could get. I could get a super rod and start putting cards back, but if they knock out both these Dragapults, I lose anyway. And I want to get rid of this Sableye because that's potentially scary. I don't want them to Roxanne me and knock out my Bibarel. So now I have a pretty good turn setup, or a pretty good mass setup, where they're never going to be able to heal both these Comfies, so they should be on the bench waiting to be knocked out by my Dragapult pings, and I should almost definitely win this game. They have 2 crams. I don't know what else they play, but I find out that they do play a Iron Hand ZX, and it looks like they're going to attack with that. So I assume they're not just going to leave it in the active. So I'm pretty happy I didn't attach the Defiance Band ahead of time, which I was thinking about doing many times throughout this game, but I wasn't sure when I was going to need it. So glad I held it, because now we just win, unless they Roxanne me, which would be kind of unfortunate, but maybe I would draw an Arven to get the Defiance Band back and just win the game. They don't disrupt my hand though, so I can just promote the Dragapult, attach the Defiance Band, and knock out the Iron Hand ZX and one of the Comfies on the bench. I just attach the energy and yeah, attack and win the game. So I think Dragapult probably has a really good matchup into these Lost Zone decks, as long as they can't one-shot you and they don't get too aggressive of a start and knock out all your little guys. Alright, so we have a rematch of the Seniors Finals here, where I'm up against Snorlax, but I don't know it at this point. My opponent won the coin flip here and chose to go second, and I have a pretty good start. I am pretty close to getting a turn 2 Dragapult attack until my opponent goes Eerie, and that's, I don't know, that's really annoying. So now I know that I'm up against Snorlax, and but they do only Nest Ball and Rotom for 3. So now I can just Arven for another rare candy and a rescue board, and candy into my Pidgeot, evolve up to a Drakloak, and yeah, just use the ability and pass and wait to attack next turn. I get Turo, so that is very nice. I could bench another Dreepy, but in these types of matchups, I don't want to play it too fast. I really just ideally would like to get to a board of just Dragapult and Pidgeot, but that happened, so I can't do that now, and that really sucks to see. That card is really dumb. I would love to know what was going on in the mind of Pokemon when they printed that card. And now at this point, I almost might as well just bench the Dreepy. And now I have both of my switching cards in hand too, which is kind of funny. So I can use Rotom now if I want to. I can also evolve to Dragapult or just Iono, disrupt their hand and hope to get Dragapult and an energy. But I also have a Turo in my hand. I don't know. It's kind of a weird decision. I decide to play it slow and just debating instant charge because I don't want to draw into another basic that I don't want in the active. And then I realize, wait, I can just knock out this Mimikyu with Drakloak's attack. So that was pretty convenient. That's why I always like hesitate on things, because I often will miss stuff when I'm just kind of like playing on live. I got stuff going on in the background. Maybe I'm not paying like as much attention as I should. So I'm glad I thought about that for an extra second. Now I use the Pidgeot here first to make it so my opponent doesn't really know what I'm grabbing. Like they're going to think that I grabbed the Turo, but I grab an Ultra Ball so that I can just get this Manaphy out of my hand. And also it's a way to get Dragapult, so it's kind of like a win-win. I could have just grabbed the Dragapult, but I don't want them to use Erica's and bring that Manaphy right back into the active, so I just get rid of it. Now, I Lost Vacuum the Hero's Cape here. In hindsight, I don't know if I should have done that. I could have just hit into the Snorlax and then tried to boss up the other bench Snorlax next turn and knock both of them out. But I didn't. I used it, so I'm going to quick search again, preemptively grab Cyllene because I know I'm going to need that at some point. And I can just use Kiernan to switch and also knock out this Snorlax, just trying to put on constant pressure. My opponent doesn't seem to be doing the most right now, so I don't want to disrupt their hand. And I'm assuming that, yeah, they're doing like the bare minimum every turn. They do have another counter catcher though, which is pretty annoying. They always got the counter catchers. Now I can just quick search for another card. I'm getting pretty close to the point where I don't really need too much more. And I Cyllene, I flip double heads, which is extremely lucky. I don't know that I would have won this game without that. And that's one of the, like, I don't know. I've been thinking about putting a Palpad in here, but I want to put Palpad in everything, and Snorlax is such a small percentage of the meta. But Palpad's really just generally good. You get more Ionos. You could use Kiernan for the plus 30 and get it back. You get an extra boss. You can also like Iono proof yourself at the end of the game by putting more supporters back. You could use Mela twice. So I'm really kind of thinking about that. And this is also the one advantage of Cyllene over the Roseanne's backup. I think the card's called to recover the special energy. Is stuff like this, but if there was a Palpad, that wouldn't really matter the most. But my opponent just uses Cyllene, and I take a look at what they put back on top, and it was Counter Catcher, I'm pretty sure. So now I top deck the Turo. The reason I'm hesitating on the quick search is because I didn't know if I wanted to shuffle the deck, but I do. I want to pick up this Rotom and Vessel away the Rotom and grab 2 energy. I'm going to attach to the Pidgey because hopefully I can get my Pidgey out off the prizes. I don't, but I was thinking if I did, I could get Rare Candy and start attacking with my other Pidgeot. Also, another mistake that I made was not using my Forest Seal Stone before using Rotom. Or I mean before picking up Rotom. I should have used Forest, but there wasn't really anything that I wanted. And my opponent also makes the mistake of bringing up my Pidgeot. Maybe he was kind of thinking since I attached the energy that I would have a way to evolve into a second Pidgeot to attack with it. So he brings up my Pidgeot and I top deck Neo, which ends up being a mistake. He uses Giacomo, and now is where the game gets awkward. I benched the Dreepy last turn because he benched the Mimikyu, and I wanted to make sure that I had a way to attack it. So now I just grab Fire for this turn. At this point in the game, my dad's like talking to me a bunch, and I'm not playing very optimally. Like, I should have used the quick search before attaching the energy and stuff like that, but I didn't, so we're here now. Now, this is where I wish that I had the Lost Vacuum, because I could just win next turn with it, but I don't have it anymore. And also, I guess if I didn't use it, I might not even have been able to get into this position. My opponent uses another Eerie, which kind of is annoying, but it's not really a big deal. I am hoping to win the game before it matters. Now I have to 3-shot this stupid Mimikyu. And at this point, I also kind of just forget what Kiernan does. And I'm like, oh, if they just pass, I can grab Kiernan and slam it and win the game. But you'll see, it doesn't do 30 to Mimikyu. So they're just... Oh, I remember this. I think this is when they start just timer stalling me, which is like super annoying because they're playing the stall deck. I'm playing a regular deck, and they're getting all salty that I won the game. This is a pretty bad matchup for Snorlax. You see, I go to grab it. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not what that does. So I just grab an Ultra Ball. I just got really just because I don't know what else to grab. I hit into it again. And now I win next turn if they can't get a Pokemon and also heal, but I also win if they penny into like a Snorlax, because I can just Kiernan into my Dragapult, and they know that I can do that. So they're going to wait the full amount of time to kind of make me suffer. And I almost just like got up to do something else from this game because I had other stuff going on, but I'm like, I can't let this person win right now. And I kind of didn't expect to win it at a certain point, because if they kept sticking stuff in the active with Snorlax, like if that was a Snorlax instead of a Mimikyu, and they could have kept counter catching, they would have been able to run me out of switching cards when I was at 1 prizes, and I would have never been able to get down to 0 prizes unless like I could hit with 20 for Pidgey or something like that enough times to knock out the Snorlax. But that was Dragapult. It definitely is a good deck. I don't know if it's just playing on live or if I'm doing something wrong, but I have some friends that say like, oh, this turn 2 attack isn't all that uncommon at all. And whenever I play it, it just seems like it's absolutely impossible. So I don't really know if I'm doing something wrong or if I'm just getting a little unlucky with the weird live RNG. But when the deck gets going, it's a lot of fun to play, and it's really powerful. Spreading damage is just a really strong effect, and it's also always a really fun kind of effect of an attack to play in a deck. I always enjoy it. You can just set up a lot of plays, and sometimes your opponent doesn't see it coming, and sometimes they just can't really do anything about it. Let me know what you guys think of Dragapult, if you guys think it's in a good spot in the meta, or if it's just kind of bad because it flopped and Raging Bull and all these other decks can just completely destroy it, and it doesn't stand a chance. So have a good one.